So I've already cooked my meat to the texture that I wanted, tenderized. Now, because I cut it in small chunks, I took two of my forks and holding one down, I start the process of shredding the meat. And that's how you get your ropa vieja. And just keep going around the meat. Some of it, I like to leave it a little bit with some meat to it, so like it's not fully pulled apart. And that's fine. You want it a little bit with chunks of meat, semi-shredded, and then you want some that it's pulled apart. So here you have 1 pound already cooked. So I'm going to turn on my stove on dial to between a 5 and a 4. Now to this I'm going to add my beef stock. Here's 1 cup. And I'm going to add another cup. It's important that you make this where it's not too much sauce left over. All right, that's my 2 cups. Now, if you are making the full brisket, which is usually about 2 pounds, then I would definitely say use your full container of your beef stock, which would be 32 ounces. Okay. To this, I'm going to add my tomato sauce. In this case, I'm only adding half, 4 ounces. If I'm cooking the full brisket, then I would have done the full can of tomato sauce. Here I have half of a small onion already cut. Again, if you're gonna make a full brisket, you're gonna use the full onion. Here I also have my green and red bell peppers, 1/4 cut and diced. I'm gonna go ahead and add my olive oil, my garlic, two tablespoons of the olive oil, one tablespoon of garlic, my red cooking wine, to this I'm going to add 4 ounces of that. Again, if I was doing the full brisket, I would be using 2 of these, but because this is just 1 pound, I'm only going to use 1 packet of Sazon. One tablespoon of oregano. Again, I already know what my tablespoon is, so then you're going to take your sofrito. There's 1, 2, 3 tablespoons of sofrito. The last that I'm going to add to it at the very end are going to be my olives with peppers. I'll add my bay leaves at the end. I will probably put 4 as usual. And like I said, this is optional. I would add about 1 teaspoon of cumin to my dish, but that's optional for you. So I'm gonna cook this right now between a 6 and a 5. And I'm gonna cook this uncovered for about 20 minutes and we'll be back. Hi, so it's been 20 minutes, and as you can see, my sauce has gotten darker and it's starting to thicken up, and it's gone down a little bit, which is good. I'm gonna turn this dial now down to between a 3 and a 2. It smells so good. A little bit of the tomato sauce, a little bit of the red wine you can taste, and it has good flavor. But of course, I'm gonna add my adobo. So I'm gonna sprinkle 1 round. Another round. Again, sprinkling. Remember, you don't want this too salty, because then it'll take away from the dish. Okay, good. So that's enough on the adobo. Next, I'm going to add cumin, and I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of that. Doesn't have to be a heavy teaspoon, but just enough. We're going to add the 4 bay leaves. And then we're going to add the olives with the peppers. Again, just spooning it out. 1, 2, and 3. So 3 small spoons of that. I'm going to lower this down to simmer and put a lid on it, and we'll cook this for another 10 minutes and we'll be back. So this is your final product of your ropa vieja, old clothes. Now, I did allow the water to evaporate down a little bit more because I didn't want a lot of sauce to be left over. I just wanted just enough that it has the juice, right? But you don't want a lot of sauce because the meat retains a lot of it, so you don't need to have a lot of leftover sauce to the meat. But this is basically what it should look like. And of course, to the side, I have here my sweet plantains that I cooked, that I mentioned that I wanted. I'm going to take a little bit of butter, and I'm going to take a fork and kind of mush this around. I'm going to turn on the heat for a little bit on low. So basically here, I took sweet plantain that I boiled, and then I'm going to make this into almost like a mashed potato. And then I'm going to go ahead and plate this with my ropa vieja and a little bit of rice. We'll be back. So we have our finished meal, and I've already plated some. Like I said, the sweet plantains are an option on the base, but I love to have a little bit of the sweet and the salty, and then you have your rice. I'm gonna take a little bit. This is delicious. I'm gonna have a little bit of the rice as well. I really do hope that you enjoy this dish as much as I do. Happy cooking.